Hi, I'm George. If you're just joining us, we had a house fire. Everything is fine. But because of that, we're also living in a camper right now. And what comes with the camper is kind of tiny home living, not a lot of storage space, and you really have to make the best use of what you've got. So we're in the bathroom right now, and we have this little cubby area down here that is just dead space. And so if we're living here for 6 months, we need as much space as possible. So what we're gonna do today is build a small cabinet to go over there. And being a camper, it's got to be lightweight. So I can't build it out of 1 inch wood. We're gonna be doing some 1/2 inch Baltic birch that I've got, and yeah, here we go. You make a shelf out of plywood. There's only 3 measurements you really need. One is your height, which is how tall it is. One is your width, which is how wide it's going to be. And the other is your depth, which is how deep it's going to be. So when you're working with this type of material, it's really easy to cut all your pieces to the correct depth. So here you can see me cutting the verticals. You always want to have all your pieces cut to the same depth, so just cut them all at the beginning and get it over with. It's really simple. Once all your pieces are cut to the same depth, you can go ahead and grab your horizontals or your actual shelves and cut them all to the same width as each other. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of grief over this, but pocket holes will actually hold up shelves. I've done it before, and when you're in a tight jam or you need to do something really quick, or if it's not really for a showpiece, you can go ahead and use pocket holes to do your joinery for your shelving. It's not that big of a deal, and they will hold. You always have to have music when you're sanding, and so I was lucky. My early 2000s iPod made it out of the house. And you always want to have something to listen to while you're sanding and sanding and sanding. This is a neat trick. That's a wood clamp, and whenever you're doing edge banding, you can use that to hold your pieces on edge and they won't fall over. So it works out pretty well. This is an iron-on edge banding. You can find these at your local hardware store. And all it does is hide the plies on the edge of the wood and make it look more like a finished product. Here I'm using a kiradashi, or a Japanese marking knife, and I've actually forged this one specifically for this type of a task. It has a flat back and an edge with a one-side bevel, so that when you're cutting with this, it just creates a nice smooth edge. You always want to mark out exactly where you're going to place your shelves, and if you line up your boards directly next to each other, you only have to make one set of notches, and then you use your 90-degree square to make sure that the lines run perpendicular across. This tool I'm using here is actually a Kreg jig clamp, and one side goes into the recess of the pocket hole and the other side goes onto the other side of the face of the board, and it will hold those pieces perpendicular pretty well.
Here I'm using a branding iron just to put a logo in the most obnoxious portion of the shelf that I could find, because I wasn't thinking when I did this, and now every time I come in and look at this shelf, I have to see my logo. It's not a bad logo, but yeah.
Got it done last night. Everyone was asleep when I got it in, so this is the next day. And we have plenty of storage and laundry bin right there. I think it's gonna be perfect. Wife loves it. That's all that matters. She's happy. And we have a little more storage so we can use the other spaces for things like coats and things like that. I mean, living in a camper, so there's not a ton of space for your stuff. Good thing we don't have too much right now. But hope you can hug your families tonight, and always check your smoke detectors because they do save lives.